You're listening to SM Media, the number one place for exclusive Scottish football content.
Hi folks, and welcome to this week's edition of the SM Media Scottish Football Show. I'm Scott McPike. It's a pleasure to be your host as always. We are delighted to be here again this week to talk about the action in the SPFL. Joining me, making his next appearance on the show after his brilliant appearance in the season previews, Lewis Anderson. Lewis, a pleasure to welcome you back on. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, Scott. Yep, looking forward to this evening. It's been another action-packed weekend of football, so looking forward to getting through the games.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be really good to go through, and we're delighted making his first appearance in the show. You'll know him from his vlog, Blair McNally. Blair, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on.
How we doing? I've been keeping an eye on the show for a while. You're doing not too bad with it anyway, all over Twitter. So delighted to be on. It's an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to getting into this week of, shall we say, action-packed football.
Yeah, it's been a good weekend as well. Obviously, your vlog. We'll do a wee plug for your vlog later on in the show. I watch it a lot. I'm a big fan of it. Let's get straight into the action. With 6 games in the Premiership, and they're all as action-packed as the other. We'll start at Ibrox on Saturday. Rangers 4, St Johnstone 0. Rangers continue their 100% start to the season. A massive boost for Rangers over the week, beating Union in the Champions League, getting through to play PSV in the playoff. And they continued that good run with an excellent 4-0 victory. 3 of the new signings, Tillman, Kolak and Lawrence with a goal, and Scott Arfield as well, rounding it off for Rangers. Lewis, I'll start with you. It's when you kind of would take a bit of time for the new signings to gel at Rangers, but they're gelling in pretty quickly, and they do look pretty good. There's a lot of good football during the game. I thought they were very clinical as well. Cholak obviously looks a good player, and Tillman as well. It's just been a really good week for Rangers, and that's capped it off.
Yep. They seem to be shaping up really well, Scott. They seem to be getting better with each game as well. The only slight concern for me, I'd say, is the way they've been starting games. I feel like they're just taking a wee bit of time to kind of grow into the game, but it seems as soon as that first goal goes in that the confidence levels seem to go through the roof, and they start playing this kind of real free-flowing brand of football, and they've got real kind of flair players on either wing. You know, Malik Tillman, he's been the player on the lips, I think, the last week.
Yeah.
In particular, he's been absolutely outstanding. Technically brilliant. Personally, I think he looks a better player when he's played in more of a central role than out wide. A guy, again, Robbie Matondo, for example, he's another one. Again, probably, you know, I know he's been plagued by injury so far, but I thought he had his best game for Rangers yesterday, in particular. And to be honest, they took care of St Johnstone pretty comfortably in the end. So that'll be a good kind of confidence booster going into the game against PSV. I think they'll know that they will have to up their levels again going into this one. They know they won't be able to start slowly like they have been doing the last couple of weeks, but certainly they'll be full of confidence going into it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point you touched on with Matondo. I thought as well, when he played in the left, I thought he was a lot more sharp on the left, but obviously he's been brought in to play in the right. But you see, he's good with that kind of right foot as well.
I think he spent majority of last season with Schalke out in the left, so that's kind of, he knows that position, and he seems quite comfortable out there.
And I was wondering as well, I don't know what you think about this, like Ryan Kent, I thought on Wednesday night, I thought he was a bit off it. I think he's getting to the stage now where he's kind of fed up playing the left. Would he maybe slot into the right and Matondo in the left and kind of they could switch during games and things like that? Like, you've got the options now. I think just for so long it's been Kent's been your only real area of width. You've got likes of Matondo, Tillman can play in the left and right, as you say, and they've got more options now as well. It's just the squad's a lot more deep, I would say, just particularly in attacking areas. Blair, what was your overall thoughts on Rangers' performance? Obviously, Cholak getting his third goal. It was crazy to think 2 weeks ago everybody was slating him, saying that he wasn't good enough. He was a waste of space. He looks a good player. He looks a good finisher as well. Rangers did look good on Saturday, I thought.
Well, what I was going to say is 3 of their new signings scored on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
the transfer window is very underrated. Rangers' transfer window has been magnificent. Tom Lawrence, a player that was said to be done with, in the Championship, and he's not. He showed it in midweek, and he showed it once again yesterday. Just blew St Johnstone out the water, didn't they? And it's just a new energy about Rangers, and I think it's only a good thing getting into a game against PSV. You know.
Yeah, I think as well as you say about getting into PSV, just a lot of confidence, get in, scoring 4 goals. Again, we touch on, 2-0 the game's over, and Rangers and Celtic today, obviously they're pushing for more goals. They know it's going to come down to that during the season. Lewis, a word in St Johnstone, obviously it was going to be a tough ask anyway, going to Ibrox and trying to get anything, but they did have early chances. They missed a good chance early on, but once Rangers got on the front foot, as you say, and scored that first goal, it was just a case of damage limitation for St Johnstone, I thought.
That's it, yeah. The recent record going to Ibrox that doesn't make for great reading at all. And to be honest, again, this isn't the type of game that Callum Davidson's going to be judged on this season and his players. But realistically, going to Ibrox, you're doing well if you come away with a point. So I don't think they'll be overly concerned. As you said, Theo Blair, he had that great chance in the first half to open scoring, and if he sticks that away, then who knows what kind of could have happened. But they'll just need to dust themselves down and move on. I don't think they'll be overly concerned. No, I think St Johnstone will hopefully kick on from here.
Yeah, I think as well. Obviously, like St Johnstone going to Ibrox, it is a tough ask, and keeping it down to a low score was probably the plan. But as you say, it's just Rangers kind of blew them away in the second half. I thought as well, just like the some of the movement Rangers had, like Lawrence coming on, Morelos I thought coming on as well. Cholak's obviously been really good, but Morelos still, he's going to take time to sharpen up, but he still get that kind of knows where to be and things. I think Rangers are finally beginning to click, and I think obviously getting into this massive game on Tuesday, and obviously Hibs on Saturday, it's going to be a massive week for Rangers, but they're certainly doing it well in the league so far. We will go to Pittodrie for the next game. Aberdeen 2, Motherwell 3. Blair, this was a game full of action. Motherwell taking the lead, Aberdeen coming back to 2-1, and then Motherwell turning it around. But obviously the news during the week was Stevie Hammell is now the permanent manager at Motherwell. What was your immediate thoughts on that when you've heard that Hammell will get the job on a permanent basis?
I think it's the right decision, because they've needed somebody that knows the league inside out, never mind the club inside out. They've had too many English managers coming up that don't know a lot about the Scottish game, and they're trying to play a different style of game. It's 2 totally different games, Scottish and English game. So I feel quite a few have flopped. Now that there's somebody that knows Motherwell inside out, never mind just the Scottish game, I think it's going to be a great move, and it showed straight away on Saturday. I went to the Sligo Rovers game. I'd done a vlog on that on the YouTube, and Motherwell did not look anything like the Motherwell I've seen last season. I think they'd lost all hope. Even they'd lost everything under that manager, and his time was up, to be honest with you.
Lewis, what did you think about Stevie Hammell? Obviously a legend at the club, and there was talk during the week there was maybe a couple other names in the frame, but I think Hammell, although obviously it's a tough ask for any kind of legend there to kind of go in and again put their kind of reputation at risk, but it seems the right appointment. It just seems the right appointment, as you say, as Blair made a good point there. Someone who's at the club and has a bit of credibility with the support. I think it might be the right appointment. Yeah,
I agree with what Blair said. To be honest, knows the club inside out. I understand some fans will view it, the safe option, the cheaper option, if you like. But bearing in mind, since Hamill's retired, he's been involved in the academy setup ever since. He's a fantastic coach. I've actually seen a couple of his coaching sessions that he's led before, and he really good man manager. I think he knows the squad as well inside out. He's already kind of spoken about the areas that he wants to strengthen further as well. So yeah, no, I think it's a good appointment for Motherwell. You know, you look at the game yesterday, they won 3-2, but in all honesty, I thought they could have scored more. Given the number of chances they created, I was really impressed with them. You know, Aberdeen will be concerned in that 6 goals conceded in the last couple of games. So, they'll certainly be concerned from that point of view. But yeah, no, it's just that, as you said, I mean, the performance against Sligo was woeful. At times, I didn't think they looked brilliant in the latter stages of last season either in a couple of their games. So, you know, rectifying the standard of performance will be something that Hammell will need to try and improve as well. But you know, on paper, I think that he's got decent players there at his disposal. He really does. And Kevin Van Veen, they've got a natural goal scorer as well. So Motherwell, I think under Hammell, you'll see them improve. But it'll be a gradual improvement. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight. I think, as you say, I think the first thing he needs to do, as we spoke about in the past couple of weeks, you need to replace Tony Watt. You can't give the load to Kevin Van Veen completely. The likes of Woolery going out as well. Just a bit more creativity, but again, Blair, a massive result for Motherwell, especially going 1-0 up and then going 2-1 down, to bring it back so quickly as well. I mean, it was only 8 minutes after Aberdeen took the league that Motherwell were back in front. So it shows you they do have that character to come back. And again, you'll take a win at Pittodrie any day of the week.
I think it's good that it shows that they've still got it in them after such an abysmal start to the season. Because there was a lot of people saying the players had given up, etc. And obviously they had under that manager, but now they've got a new lease of life. You've seen the new lease of life on Saturday. You touched about Woolery. I think that's a massive loss. He had energy, he had pace going forward. But for Van Veen to get back on the score sheet, I think that's absolutely massive, because he is and was the spearhead of Motherwell before they took a terrible dip. So for him to get back in the score sheet, that's now the driving force. If he can get back on form, I think Motherwell will be fine this season.
Lewis, is there a worry about Aberdeen? Like, obviously, last week they scored 4. I don't think there's any issues with them scoring goals. I think they've got some terrific talent going forward, but at the back they are very, very open. I thought some of the goals they lost on Saturday were comical. I don't think they'll struggle to put the ball in the net, but they've got to keep it out if they want to challenge Hearts. And as you see today, Hearts can really, really go for that third place and make it their own, and Aberdeen need to seriously kind of shut the door at the back.
Yep. I think yesterday's performance kind of epitomised that they're still very much a work in progress. You know, a lot of player turnover in the summer. You know, Jim Goodwin's clearly still got a lot of work to do. I still wonder as well if he's still not quite sure what his best team is, in all honesty. He's kind of chopped and changed quite a bit last couple of weeks. And as he said yesterday, sliced open so easily by Motherwell. I think, am I right in thinking they had Ross McCrory playing centre-back yesterday, sorry. I know he's been playing kind of Scales and Stewart as the partnership, but I think Scales was playing on the left yesterday. So I'm not too sure if that might have just kind of disrupted the...
I don't think McCrory, he doesn't scream out to be a centre-half to me. Like when he was at Rangers, like he kind of came in as a centre-half and he looked okay the first few games, but when they kind of moved him into midfield, he looked as if he's got a bit more in the... He looks a bit more like a kind of ball player and things like that. And as you say, Scales, I was really impressed with the Scales signing. I think Stewart's obviously the big kind of defensive signing that he's made, and it's just going to be difficult. But I just think McCrory as a centre half, it's just never ever stood out to me. But I mean, you look at their talent, you look at their forward talent. That boy Clarkson, I thought was really good last week. Majovsky, they've got the talent there.
Just wonder, you know, he's still got another couple of weeks left in the transfer window as well. You know, there's a lot of talk about David Bates leaving.
Yeah.
You know, if they manage to get him out the door, would that free up a bit of cash? I don't know if they still have some available to them, you know, to maybe look at bringing in another player in that area of the pitch.
See, it's tough because you've got, like, they obviously have had a few quid in this summer, like Calvin Ramsey, Lewis Ferguson going, but he's had money to spend, and it's difficult to really look. I'm just kind of going through their team, like Richardson's there, who do you kind of have as you say, as another kind of defensive option? I look at their bench, and you've got like forward wise, you've got like Christian Ramirez to come off. You've got that boy. Is it Duke?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like forward wise, they're sorted in my opinion. It's just finding that extra wee bit just at the back. And
the other defensive option they had yesterday was Jack McKenzie, who's obviously come to the youth academy, and I know he's a player that the Aberdeen fans do rate highly. But he has had his kind of niggles, I think, towards the tail end of last season. Just kind of struggled to get back into the team, but I know he's a player that they've got high hopes for. Again, he's just got to take that next step and really kind of kick on in his development.
Blair, what's your kind of thoughts on Aberdeen? Like they've started well. We've spoke about they've had plaudits for their performances so far this season, but that was a real test on Saturday of their mettle against a team like Motherwell, who are going to be hard working, who are going to really kind of take their chances that they get, and Aberdeen just couldn't stop them.
I think there's too much chopping and changing with Aberdeen. I watched an interview, and it was about Jose Mourinho on Man United, and he says, give 2 or 3 years to Man United and keep the same players, and they will do good. And I think it's a similar story with Sir Alex Ferguson leaving to Derek McInnes leaving. Obviously, it wasn't as good, but the fact that after he's left, there's been too much chopping and changing, managers, players. There's never been a consistency with a lineup, and that does affect it at the end of the day. And now, I think getting that centre back from Wickham, he's a massive signing. He looked unreal. My dad's a Celtic fan. He was at the game, and even though Celtic battered them, he says the boy was unreal. And having somebody like that at the back, I know they didn't do well on Saturday, but having somebody like that at the back can make a massive difference to the players in front of them. I watched them. I was at the playoff final, Sunderland v Wickham, in May. Anthony Stewart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just an absolute rock. And hopefully he does kick on. But yeah, I think that Aberdeen might need a couple more creative players. I'm not seeing enough in the creative end for them. But if they kick on, they keep a consistency with the lineup, they could do well this season. I'm not going to say they're going to do extremely well because they've still got a good bit to do.
Blair raises a good point there, Scott. You know, Anthony Stewart, again, I honestly didn't know much about him from this time at Wickham, but to come to a new club and immediately get handed the captaincy as well, you know, Jim Goodwin's clearly seen something in training that he thinks this boy's a born leader. So, I echo what you said.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be both teams. I think it's going to take them a bit of time just to kind of settle, get their best teams in place. I think both teams will be very active in the transfer window from now to the end of August. Motherwell probably in the striking department. I would say Aberdeen in the defensive department, but a massive win for Motherwell. Another game that saw both teams scoring. Livingston 2, Hibs 1. This game had absolutely everything in it. There was arguments in the touchline. There was bad tackles. There was goals in either half. There was everything in this game. Blair, first of all, before we get into talking about the game, another player who stood out to me was I'm so impressed with Joel Newbley and the way he started this season. I know he was really good last season at Aberdeen, and we spoke about him a lot, but he is taken to the Premiership so well. Again, another goal. He's just a defender's nightmare. He's everywhere. And if you've got that technical ability and you could finish, it's going to be a tough for Livingston to keep hold of him, I think.
Well, I knew about him before most people knew about him because, unfortunately, I'm a Partick Thistle fan. So I watched him literally rip us to shreds on about 3 or 4 occasions.
Yeah.
The boy's a wonder to watch. I remember there's only two players I've seen at Firhill that have actually sat in awe, that have controlled a game so well. Glenn Kamara for Dundee. It was the game before he signed for Rangers. They beat us 3-0. And Joel Newbley. 2 players. Everybody's just been like, wow. The boy, his footwork, very similar to Joe Aribo in a sense. Very good with his neat footwork, but his dribbling's remarkable. The size of him, he uses the size of him exactly as needed, and he just shoves people off the ball, doesn't he? He's just an absolute machine. But if he keeps up the way he's going, I think everybody's starting to notice him now. I'm happy that he is hitting form because I knew what he had, the threat he did possess. First couple of games he didn't do that well for Livingston, and then now he's just kicked on, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he started this season so well. Lewis, how impressed you been with Nubly?
Yeah, very much so. He looks an absolute tank. To be fair, he'd strike the fear into you, being a central defender anyway, coming towards you. I think David Martindale's spoken in the press about how he feels he needs to improve his stats overall, though, in terms of getting that kind of recognition from, clubs in the English Championship, things like that. So it'll be interesting to see if he can add, assists to his game as well as goals this season. It's a big year for him. I'm kind of pleasantly surprised it's taken him a bit of time to get kind of earn his chance in the Livingston first team, because as Blair says, he's been fantastic during his spells on loan.
He's such a confident player, isn't he? He's so confident in his own abilities. You watch him on Saturday, he was in the corner flag, don't know if you've seen it, and there was 3 or 4 players around him and he just ripped them all. You don't see that a lot in Scottish football.
No. On to the game, obviously, Nubly gave Livingston the lead, and Blair, Livingston absolutely dominated this first half. Like, they were, if it was 3 or 4-0 at half time, I don't think Andy could have disagreed. Like, Livingston were so in control of the game, and I think it's difficult to see. Like, I think Livingston did deserve to win the game, just based on that.
Yeah, Livingston, I enjoy to watch again. David Martindale is very underrated. He gets a lot of stick, obviously, for his past and stuff, but in man-to-man, even interviewing him, etc., what a great guy he is, and the type of person that he is definitely rubs off in that changing room, because everybody buys into his style. He knows exactly what he needs to do, and they execute it perfectly. And I think you don't get a lot of managers. You're going to get disagreements, but in that Livingston changing room, I don't think there'll be one player that disagrees with him, because he's such a good people person. Yeah, he's very impressive. But Livingston, I think, again, they'll be fine this year. Great summer, great recruitment. Obviously getting Nubly in, which we all knew. At the end of last season, everybody in the Championship knew Nubly was going back. I even speak to Martindale in March. He was wanting Nubly back, but he couldn't get me on to the end of the season with the form he was in. So that's like a new signing for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Lewis, I'm going to put it to you that Hibs picked up in the second half when Martin Boyle came on. That to me is not a coincidence.
No, he's an absolute game changer for them. Really is. Cracking bit of business to get him back on a 3-year deal. As he said, came on yesterday. They just look a totally different team when he's playing. And to be honest, I thought the response was good in the second half from Hibs. Considering they looked well off the pace in the first half, they still look like, to me, that they're lacking in a couple of areas of the pitch. They really do. The way they just went at it at all in the first half. But Martin Boyle comes on and he's just frightening. Speed, great feet, trickery, just kind of what they're missing, really. A real flair player. Again, could they have snuck a point yesterday? I'm not so sure. I'm already regretting my decision a couple of weeks back on the predictions show to say that Livingston were going to struggle, because at the moment, the football they're playing, they look more top 6 candidates than they do relegation threatened, I'd say.
It's that thing with Livingston as well, is that they're so unpredictable.
Yep.
You think I would have been the opposite to Blair. I thought the recruitment this summer was strange, but you look at it now and you think, yeah, they're beginning to gel. It looks a lot better, I would say, at Livingston. But Blair, Hibs bringing in Martin Boyle as well. I thought in the second half Hibs would come out on top, but Ayo Obalaye with a late winner. It was probably deserved just based on the first half, but it was an interesting game. I don't know if you saw the incident with Martindale and Johnson in the touchline. It was 2 managers really going at it. Again, we've seen it today with Chelsea and Tottenham. It's the scenes we don't want, but we do want, really.
No, we definitely want them.
It's a bit of excitement, isn't it? And we need it in Scottish football.
I'm all for it. You hear the debates about pyro, you hear the debates about fans fighting, you hear the debates about... The only thing I don't like is fans running onto the pitch. But when fans asking for shirts, but see all this passion. The passion is part of football. You love it. You spoke about Obalaye. Similar to Anthony Stewart, he's another player that he's a level above as well. I was at the Livingston Ross County game last year, and he done the exact same last minute header because he's got that aggressiveness that not a lot of players have. As a centre back, he wants to win everything, and he'll go right through everybody and MD to get to the ball. And I don't think he'll be at Livingston for long. We'll be like Queen of the South. When he was at Queen of the South, he was doing the exact same. That's how we get noticed. So two really, really good signings. And what I'm also impressed with is the Livingston scouts, because they're picking up these players that are from smaller clubs. They're actually turning them into bigger clubs. Remember, Livingston haven't got a big budget.
No.
Do you know? And what they're doing with the budget they have, Thistle have actually got a bigger budget than them. And what they're doing with the budget they've got is remarkable. Even as a community club, everything they're doing, to be honest, they're a great club. And for me, saying that as a Thistle fan, when they relegated us and we've still not went back up, it says something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does that. I mean, it's, as well as you say that they're punching above their weight absolutely every season, but a wee word in Hibs, we'll touch in the next game. Obviously, Lewis was there, but Hibs, it just strikes to me that this already, there's problems there. Like if you're relying so much on bringing one player back and it's as if Boyle come in and just they were like confident they could go and do something. And I think when that happens, although you've got a big player like Martin Boyle, it shows you that there's a lack of confidence, and I don't think it was rubbing off. I think if it takes one player to come in and really change it, I think there's problems there, and it doesn't get any easier. Obviously, on Saturday with Rangers coming to Easter Road. The next game I want to talk about, St Mirren 1, Ross County.
Can I just say something quickly?
On you go.
Did you see the SPFL highlights? They've actually missed out Hibs' goal.
Have they?
Aye, they've not even got Hibs' goal in it, so they've just got two of Livingston's goals. Not even put it in. Just shows you how much Hibs are cared about nowadays, isn't it?
I know, but it's just you look at their team and it's like, where do they all play? Like I don't know how the system works. And I spoke to a Sunderland fan, a friend of mine, and he says like Hibs will play. He'll set up to be really, really kind of defend first, thinking second. Like I look at their defence, like. Obviously, Cadden and Cabrera, I think they're two good fullbacks, but Porteous and Hanlon, Kenny, Newell, going forward, you've got Melkerson, that boy Tavares, Yuan. It's all kind of individuals. I don't know if there's a system yet, and it's going to take time, but I think in Scottish football, particularly at a club like Hibs, and we've seen it with Sean Maloney, if you're not getting a system and you're not getting results, you're not getting much time. And again, it's going to be an interesting few weeks for Hibs. But let's move on to the next game. St Mirren 1, Ross County 0. Lewis, you were at the game. Give us your overall reaction. It was a terrific goal to win the game for Richard Tate, but was it kind of a fair result, would you say?
Yes, yeah, I'd say so, Scott. St Mirren definitely edged it. You know, it was a game that lacked real quality, in all honesty. Both teams coming into it still without a win. They both conceded 5 goals in the first couple of games. You know, the omens were for a 0-0 draw. And to be honest, for large spells, it kind of felt like it was going that way. St Mirren kind of dominated the first half. Again, kind of created numerous chances, but just couldn't put them away. And eventually, you know, a real moment of quality from Richard Tate. It's a fantastic finish. Talk about picking your spot. He certainly did that. But to Ross County's credit, you know, they never kind of let the heads drop. They really kind of battled towards the end and had a couple of great chances towards the end of the game. Aura Edwards, he struck the post, and
I'm quite impressed with him, actually.
Yeah, he was really good last week in particular, I thought. Again, Malky Mackay got a good eye for a player, it seems, that the boys that he's managed to bring in. But no, I think St Mirren in particular slowly starting to find their identity under Stephen Robinson. I think particularly tactically as well. First couple of games this season, you know, it didn't look like they were kind of, to be honest, looked kind of relegation fodder from the first couple of performances, whereas Ross County, I thought, had performed relatively well in both their games. But you know, St Mirren really frustrated them yesterday. Particularly impressed with Keanu Bacchus that they brought in from somewhere, Central Coast Mariners or something. Is it?
Okay.
I think in Australia, so he's come from a good level. He looks a really good find. Particularly impressive yesterday. Good pressing, fantastic range of passes as well. So yeah, no, all in all, positive signs of St Mirren. I know a couple of people are doubting them this season, especially under Stephen Robinson, given that he'd only won, I think, one of his first, it was about 4 of his first 13 or 14 games in charge. But no, I thought they were good yesterday at times. And as you said, a moment of real brilliance is kind of won the game for them.
Blair, what was your kind of overall thoughts in the St Mirren 1, Ross County now? I would say Ross County, the performances of the first 2 games maybe deserved the results, but all reports and what I've saw of the game, Lewis will know better than me, they weren't at the levels yesterday, and it showed, I think.
If a hit and hope shot like that, I think it deserves to win the game, doesn't it, Lewis?
I agree.
Nah, all honesty, what a finish it was. I mean, just dropped him at the edge of the box and he rifled that ball into the top corner, didn't he? With a goal like
that. He's not a known goal scorer, Richard.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He's just hit and hope, that is. But he's done it expertly and he's made it look like he's meant it, so fair dues to him. What a finish. And with a goal like that, I think he just deserves to win a game, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think Ross County could be a team to watch this season. I think you look at the only team I think not to get a point so far. They're maybe hard done by with that. Like, they played really well, I thought, against Hearts and played really well against Celtic, but they'll take time. They'll get results. I don't think there's any issues. I was pleasantly surprised St Mirren won. I thought, as you say, Lewis, I thought that was a 0-0 written all over it. I just thought St Mirren would frustrate Ross County. I just didn't see goals coming, but again, as Blair says, it's a stroke of genius to win that game. But we'll move into the 2 games today.
I think Regan Charles-Cook is a massive loss for them.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a player that was, again, majorly underrated, and he's went to a small team in Belgium. He should have went to a much better club than that. And losing a mainstay player, him and Hungbo were excellent for Ross County last season. So how they fill in that hole, I don't know, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah,
I mean, the concern for Ross County as well is that, they're still winless. They've got Kilmarnock next weekend, which is a must 3 points, because then they've got Rangers at Ibrox and Celtic again. So realistically, they need to get 3 points on the board. Otherwise, you don't want to be in a, without any points from your first 5 or 6 games. You're leaving yourself a right uphill battle already.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting off to that good start, but I do think they'll be fine. I think next week that could be a good game next week. Ross County and Kilmarnock, 2 teams probably desperate to get a win on the board. Kilmarnock 0, Celtic 5. Celtic were rampant today. I thought they were very impressive. Again, that early goal, just getting that early goal completely kind of settles them for the game, and they just stroll it from there. I don't think they were brilliant possession-wise. I thought they were quite slack in possession, but as you say, it's that clinical edge. Maeda, I thought, was terrific. I don't understand the slack he gets at all. I think he's a workhorse. I thought Celtic were great today. I think they just toyed with Kelly, to be honest. Blair, what was your overall thoughts? That's a 35 games Celtic are unbeaten in the Scottish Premiership. That's an unbelievable statistic when you think about it.
I think I talked about confidence earlier. See, to pull off 2 overhead kicks.
Yeah.
It just shows, like, when was the last game you went to and there was 2 overhead kicks attempted, never mind scored?
Yeah.
It shows how confident they actually are as a unit, as a team. You see them every time they score, big group, all hugging each other, all laughing and giggling and stuff. They're such a great team to watch. And honestly, I actually think they will do well in Europe this season. I think they'll finish at least 3rd in the group stages, because with the squad that they've got, I think they can do anything.
It's that thing as well, like you say, like you get into their team, they've got Kyogo, Jota again was terrific today. I saw that thing about should the goalkeeper save it? Yeah, he gets a touch on it, but it's a terrific strike. It's a really good strike as well.
Power he gets behind it.
Yeah, and that's
slow motion, it looks easy, but the power he gets behind it, he's got no chance.
And finding that space as well, like everybody knows about how big a fan I am of Kyogo, his movement, just his awareness to be in that position. Maeda could have probably went himself, but he just knows where Kyogo's going to be. And Kyogo's just he knows that situation. He knows where Maeda's going to put the ball. He knows where to be. I think Kyogo's terrific. again, somebody like Maurice Jents as well, 2 games in, 2 goals, that'll do wonders for him, because we know in this game as a central defender in Scottish football, even if it starts to go wrong, you get a bit of criticism, but creating that first impression, 2 goals in 2 games, I think it's going to be terrific for that. Lewis, the point Blair made there about squad depth, I want to just say Celtic have got this spot on the past few, 6 months or so. Again, we spoke about last season, just Celtic try to just find that kind of rhythm in their team. You take off your front 3 and you bring on Forrest, Giacomakis and Abada. It shows you just how much strength they've got up front, and obviously Starfelt comes on and scores. Their bench is superb and they've just got so much depth.
It's scary, Scott, to be honest. It is scary. You look at the game last weekend as well against Ross County, they were making hard work of that, and then the subs came on and just a new lease of life. Yeah. As you said, the strength they've got there is fantastic. I think, they started in a certain fashion that will make Ange Postecoglou believe and be really confident that they will retain their title this year. This is the football they're playing. They were absolutely relentless again. The only thing I'd say is that they've still to kind of face the test of having 2 games a week. They'll have the Champions League starting up in September, so it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of maintain these early season levels. They have been really impressive, but as you said, with facing slightly better opposition in Europe, how that might affect their domestic form, it will be interesting to see. But as you said, I mean, Jens in particular, he looks an absolute power horse at the back there, and again, Ange Postecoglou spoke last week about having no one's place is secured in the team. He's got Starfelt coming back. Stephen Welsh has looked really good early season as well for Celtic. So as you said, fantastic options to have, and they've been clinical so far. Kilmarnock, Derek McInnes altered his formation today to try and kind of combat Celtic, and it didn't work.
But that's the thing, if you do that and you lose a goal after 6 minutes, where do you go for there?
Yep.
And that's the thing. And I'll quite mention before we talk about Kilmarnock, I want to put a mention out to Greg Taylor, who I thought has been absolutely terrific. I thought he's been terrific so far this season. Today
gets a lot of stick.
He does. Yeah, and I thought today as well, going to your former club, it's never easy, but he absolutely strolled. I thought it was brilliant today. And especially when the Celtic spent 3 million on a left back as well, I thought that's probably Greg Taylor kind of number 2, but he's kept his place really well. And in that form, I don't think anybody can say he doesn't deserve to be the starting left back. But
it was on quite a few of the apps, he was man of the match today.
Yeah, I gave him man of the match. I thought it was.
It's mad that he didn't get an assist, he didn't get a goal, and he was man of the match. It shows actually how well he played. Yeah, because Celtic scored 5 and he still managed,
Yeah, and I think that's the thing as well. I wouldn't have said Celtic's midfield was great today. I thought they were very slack in possession, but as you say, if you're solid at the back and you've got a front 3 like that who are just so eager just to get the ball in the net and recover every blade of grass, I think Maeda is just a workhorse. I think he's everywhere. I don't think he's the best player. I don't think he's a terrific footballer, but just to complement the front 2 well, Jota, obviously we know what he does. He's been terrific so far this season. Kyogo's movement and just clinical nature. Maeda does a lot of the groundwork to get that going, and I've been impressed with the front 3. But yeah, as I say, Blair, Lewis touched on an interesting point about Kilmarnock. I don't understand what Derek McInnes was thinking. Make it difficult for Celtic. Don't match them, and then when it goes 1-0, you're really just kind of opening the floodgates for a doing, which is what they got.
Yeah. A couple of decisions for Derek McInnes in the last year or so. Joining Kilmarnock for a first. And then obviously the Championship. A couple of games I went to the game against Ayr United last season on my channel, and they get beat 2-1 off there. Then get into this season as well, a couple of signings he's made. He's brought in some team, he's transformed the full team, but he's playing some players in odd positions, and he's playing some players out of position, and it's frustrating the Kelly fans. And today, I just think he got it all wrong. There was no confidence in the team to start with, and then from there, I think they had 1 or 2 chances, but they just get torn apart.
Blair, if you were a Kilmarnock fan, what would you think of the number of players he's brought in on loan? I see he's brought in quite a few boys on loan the last couple of weeks.
It's not even the loan players. He's brought in must be about 12, 13 good quality players. The wage bill must be massive in Kelly right now, because these aren't players that have fell from the ranks. These are players that are still playing at a good level, and a lot of Kelly fans are frustrated with him because he's not playing a good style of football as well. Aberdeen fans didn't like him because he was very defensive, and you've seen it with Kelly just now.
I mean, it's a tough one. I think we speak about Kelly a lot on here, and I think as well, it's going to take time. A lot of new players to gel in, and again, but I don't understand. You play if you've set up to play a certain way, and you don't change it for one team. And Celtic just exploited it and were terrific. But yeah, I think it will take Kelly time to gel. I do think they'll get it right. I can see Kelly being a top 6 team this season, but they need to improve on that. But a massive win for Celtic, and they go top of the league. Final game of the weekend in the Premiership: Hearts 4, Dundee United 1. What a bad 7 days for Dundee United, Blair.
I would actually like to start on Shankland, because what a signing he is. Mm-hmm. For him to come back to Scottish football and kick off so quickly, it's remarkable. He's proved a lot of people wrong. And yeah, I'm all for it. I think he's exactly what Hearts have needed. Boyle was doing that for a while, but he kind of slipped off the pace a bit as well. But yeah, as you said, Dundee United, I was on the channel once again. I was at the Dundee United versus AZ Alkmaar team, and I left the game speechless because Dundee United were absolutely phenomenal. I was obviously at the game at Tannadice and not the other game, second leg, but phenomenal team. I said they had quality in every area of the pitch. They were all doing their job exactly. And how wrong was I? Because after that game, they've just lost all their confidence. I think the game against AZ Alkmaar, they were picked apart by a quality side. But yeah, it was just another drowning today, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Lewis, as you say, you lose 7 goals in midweek. It's so hard to come back from that, and especially against a team like Hearts, who, as you say, have got clinical players like Mackay, who I thought was terrific today as well. Lawrence Shankland, the boy Grant, I think for Peterborough looks a really good find. It was only going to be one winner, wasn't it? It's so hard for Dundee United to pick themselves up from a doing like that during the week. Yeah,
it certainly has been a bruising 4 days for them. They look so fragile defensively. Not only obviously did you see that in midweek, but again, the early signs in this game today, they just look there to be had. Certainly another day to forget for them. I'm pleased to see that Shankland has been living up to my big early season prediction and proving Charlie Richmond wrong. Hopefully he can continue on this goal scoring streak this season. In terms of Dundee United, you wonder what it might do for the confidence levels. That would be a real concern for me. Just on the back of these 2 results. A lot of young players as well in that squad. They've been kind of really good at promoting youth from their academy.
I felt for the goalkeeper as well. Obviously losing Seagrass, a big loss, but I think, is it Bergetti? I think his name is.
Yep. A couple of howlers.
Yeah, I think he had a disappointing afternoon, and I think he obviously, but I can't think that he played during the week.
Yeah, he played during the week. He played last week, but he was actually the making of the goal because he started the play so fast and everybody was praising him. Seagrass wouldn't have done that before. Seagrass would have been slow getting the ball out and then punted up the park, whereas Bergetti he gets it straight out, but he doesn't look like the greatest shot stopper, does he?
No, he didn't today. I thought he had a poor afternoon, and as you say, you're losing 11 goals in a week. That can't be good for a player's confidence. But I thought Hearts were really good as well.
He's another goalkeeper that's come with a big reputation to Dundee United.
Yeah, he has that.
There was a couple of fans I saw on Twitter after the game today saying that flashes of Eiji Kawashima from a few years ago with the howlers that he's produced in the last couple of days. So they'll be hoping that he can really kind of restore his confidence levels in the next couple of games.
Poor Dundee United fans are getting they're getting a hell this week. Even getting Kawashima brought back up there.
But as you say, I mean, it's going to be tough for the Dundee United. But Hearts have a massive game coming up on Thursday as well. We'll touch on that in a few minutes. Let's get into the Championship. We'll run through the results during the weekend. Dundee 4, Arbroath 2, Ayr United 2, Hamilton 2, Inverness 4, Cove Rangers 1, Queen's Park 3, Partick Thistle 2, and Wraith Rovers 2, Morton 1. Lewis, what was the results that caught your eye in the Championship this weekend?
Queen's Park for me, Scott. Fantastic result for them. Partick Thistle, obviously, one of my tips to win the league really this year. Just a fantastic result for Queen's Park. They look comfortable at this level as well. You know, they haven't been in the second tier of Scottish football for a long, long time. And the early impressions, you know, going up to Inverness, getting a point, losing to Ayr was a disappointment. But you know, that result yesterday, I know they have the issues of not having a permanent home as well. They're playing at Ochilview and Stenhousemuir this year, but fantastic result for them yesterday. By all accounts, it sounded like they were the better team. They deserved to win, from what I heard. And he's signed well. They've got a real good looking squad at the moment, a good blend of youth and experience. I see they brought in a Nigerian internationalist the other day as well, Stefan Eze. So impressed with the job Owen Coyle's doing there. It's kind of taken him a wee bit of time just to kind of find his feet. But that result yesterday for them will give them a lot of confidence going forward.
Blair, what was your thoughts on your team's 3-2 defeat yesterday?
First of all, hats off to Queen's Park. They are some team. They've put the money into it, fair enough, but there's a difference between putting money into it and getting it right. And they've done it exactly right. Owen Coyle's some manager. He's too good for the Scottish Championship. A Premier League manager, you know, and he's doing terrific with them. As of Thistle, if you look at Thistle's record since January, I think questions are going to start getting asked of Ian McCall, because there's a lot of people starting to crack up now. I'm staying patient, but with the players that we've brought in, we're not doing good enough. We've got such a good squad, but his team selection is just nowhere near it. First of all, taking Jamie Snedden out and putting David Mitchell in. He's a second fiddle keeper from Hibs. He was at Clyde. Jamie Snedden is one of the best keepers I've ever seen play with Thistle. So I don't know what he's thinking with that. And yeah, I think that kind of starts with the confidence, as I said, from behind you. If you've got a confident keeper, or if you've got a keeper you don't really know that well, it's going to like lead in front. So, and Tunji Akinola, ever since his red card against Airdrie, his confidence has been shot. And then just at the weekend there, he got ripped apart apparently. I wasn't at the game, but I've watched it and I've heard all the Thistle Daz on the Facebook page, and yeah, just it seems as if nothing's quite clicking at the moment.
Tiffany's a big miss.
Yeah, Tiffany should have been away to Dundee United, to be honest with you. I heard the rumours about that, but I think that's over now. The new manager's in. And then you've obviously got him getting injured. Tony Weston from Rangers, he's not even giving him a game. He's bringing him on for the last 10 minutes. He's young, energetic.
He's a good finisher as well. He's a really good finisher. Anton Dowd's as well. Anton Dowd's a really good signing.
That's what I'm saying, but he's not keeping a consistent lineup. He's swapping, chopping and changing. I don't know. It's like he's got too many options, I feel. I feel there's far too many options in the squad. And he doesn't even know himself what he wants to do. So I think we need to get something sorted in that sense. And because we've got probably the strongest bench we've had in about 5 years.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah, I think as well. I want to give shout outs as well. Inverness and Dundee with big wins over the weekend as well. Dundee beating Arbroath, I think, is a big turning point for both teams. I think Arbroath, although they were the story of Scottish football last season, I think they will struggle a bit this season. I think teams have kind of found them out how to play. And obviously Dundee, I think it was just that kind of win kind of turns them round. I think a lot of people are thinking, will they get a run going? I think that could be the start of something good. Austin Samuels for Inverness, again with a double. He's a really, really good signing. I really like him. But yeah, two massive wins for Inverness and Dundee, who I think will be up there near the top come the end of the season. League 1, Alloa 2, FC Edinburgh 4, Clyde 3, Kelty 0, Falkirk 3, Peterhead 1, Queen of the South 1, Airdrieonians 1, and Dunfermline 1, Montrose 0. Blair, what was your takeaway from League 1 over the weekend?
FC Edinburgh. They're just doing exactly what Queen's Park are doing as well. They've put money into it, but they're doing it right. A lot of haters with a new stadium. I obviously went and done a vlog at their stadium. I was working with them, so I couldn't really say much. But the stadium's getting a lot of hate at the moment. I'll keep my mouth shut about it. I'll just continue to say it's a good stadium. But in terms of the team, they've just added to what they already had, and they're shocking everybody at the moment. Where are they in the league now? They're at the top anyway.
Yeah, I think they're pretty well. Let's have a wee look. I think they're sitting about third.
Aye.
As you say, like it's some start, especially for a team. I don't think anybody gave them a shot at getting promoted, especially in the playoffs. They're sitting fourth. They're sitting fourth and 6 points for 3 games, but that's a really good start for a promoted team.
Yeah, and they're just continuing to play as they did, even against Arbroath. They held their own against Arbroath. Arbroath's quality obviously showed earlier in the season when I was at the game, but yeah, I think they'll do really well this season. I think they'll be around the playoff spots.
Lewis, what's the result of the weekend for you in the League 1?
It's an interesting one, Scott, because I think most of the results were kind of relatively predictable in this league. However, I'm going to pick up on Kelty Hearts.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on them.
8 goals conceded in their first 3 games. For a team that has been flying, again, doing a cove, Edinburgh City, flying through the leagues. An incredibly one-sided game yesterday.
Yeah.
Clyde absolutely battered them. Given the quality of player Kelty have assembled there, I'm very concerned. I'm not too sure where it's going wrong here.
And you look at their team, it's not overly different for last season.
Nope. They retained majority of their core there, and they've added guys like
Kyle Docherty.
Yep. They've got decent quality players there, and
he was from Aberdeen Rovers, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Really, really creative player.
Yeah.
They've done well with him, but yeah.
It's a weird one.
And Austin up front, you're getting only from him, so I don't know if he's got an issue or something so far this season. But I know they changed the manager in the summer. There was a lot of talk about Kevin Thompson.
Yeah,
he was going to land a full-time post. They've replaced him with John Potter, who is a good coach. He'd been around the scene a long time. But again, taking on his first managerial gig. And going into a club that's kind of full in confidence on the back of promotions. So I'm quite alarmed by their start to the season. What's your take on it, Scott?
I just think it's a weird one, as you say. Like it can't just be down to a manager leaving. It can't be. You look at their team. I'll read a few names off: Jamie Burjonis, Joe Cardle, Nathan Austin, Michael Tidser. They're 4 of the best players in the league in League 2 last season, and they're too good to be playing in League 2. So I don't understand it. I don't know if it's been getting used to a complete kind of change of system. I don't know what it is. Is it nerves going up to a league? Like obviously Kelty coming from the kind of juniors a few years ago. Is it getting up the leagues? But again, I was sitting thinking, are Clyde? I was thinking Clyde are going to be relegation fodder. They're sitting second in the league after 3 games. It shows you as well. We can make all the predictions we want. It never ever turns out that way. If you'd said to me at the start of the season who wins that game, I would have said Kelty won it 3-0, not Clyde. So it's a weird one. Again, it'll be interesting to see what happens at Kelty, because I know the ambition they've got. I know a few people at the club. I know how keen they are to progress up the leagues. This will not be a good start. And again,
I think they will be fine this season, Scott. I do.
I think they'll be fine. I just think, if you get to maybe 5 or 6 games and you're not off to a good start, again, when you've changed your manager and you went from a manager, Kevin Thompson, who's well thought of in the game, again, John Potter, I know he's a good coach. I know he's obviously been at Hibs for a while. 5 or 6 games with a club as ambitious as Kelty, are they going to maybe kind of panic a bit and make a change? I don't know. I certainly wouldn't think he deserves a bit more time than that. But if it kind of gets into a really, really bad start, what happens there. And again, they're sitting bottom of the league, -7 in goal difference, as you say. It's not a start for a team, again, who I think we're aiming for promotion.
Yeah, there's one team in this league, however, I do think will be cut adrift by Christmas. I really do. And I'm saying that quite confidently, that I think Peterhead are destined for the drop this year.
I think
the early signs from them, miles off the pace in all 3 games so far.
They got a point. I think they got a point first game, I think
they're missing Big Si Ferry.
Yeah. It's a weird one. It's a weird one, obviously. Peterhead.
See, they get hammered today.
Yeah, 4-0 for you, Stirling Uni as well. That was always going to take time to build. I think a lot of people thought that was going to be a straight up after 1 year. There's no chance. I think there's no chance of that. Now, they might prove me wrong, but I think you look at teams in that league like East Kilbride, Spartans, who are off to a good start. Bo'ness have made a terrific start to that league as well. Again, I think that's a project. I think that's a work in progress. League 2, let's get into League 2. Albion Rovers 0, East Fife 1, Dumbarton 4, Annan 0, Forfar 2, Elgin 2, Stirling 3, Stenhousemuir 0, and Stranraer 2, Bonnyrigg 2. Lewis, Dumbarton and Stirling with big wins as well. What was your overall takeaways from League 2 over the weekend?
Dumbarton looked really good.
Yes.
Yep. Declan Byrne, I think 4 goals already this season.
Yeah.
Kind of top quality striker for that level. I know he banged them in at Albion Rovers, so that's a really good addition for them. And they've managed to attract players of a decent calibre that some of them have championship experience. So yeah, I think Dumbarton will be right up there this year. I really do. Impressed with them yesterday. Quite comfortable because Annan have kind of been the surprise package for the last couple of seasons. Always kind of ended up in amongst the kind of playoff spots. So that was a hammering they took yesterday. And Stirling as well. You know, it's been a slow start, but in Dale Carrick they've got a prolific goal scorer. You know, Stenhousemuir, the team they've assembled as well. I know a lot of people kind of fancying them to do really well this season, but I think they had a man sent off within inside the first 5 minutes yesterday. And obviously, when that happens, it leaves you with a mountain to climb. So, a positive result there for Stirling. Bonnyrigg Rose again, never know when they're beaten.
Last minute equaliser.
Yep, Lee Curry, former Hibs man. So a bit of a set piece specialist as well. In all honesty, kind of thought they were going to win going down to Sunrise today. I know they had a man reduced and kind of made the task a wee bit easier for them in the second half, but a good fighting spirit for them from Bonnyrigg. A lot of interesting results in this league this weekend. I think Elgin deserve a shout out as well. You know, they ended the game with 9 men and they managed to hold Forfar to a draw, who I think are tipped to win this league this year. So they deserve a shout as well. So,
yeah, absolutely as well. Blair, what was your overall thoughts in League 2?
Annan Athletic, another team I seen last season. I was at the playoff final against Edinburgh. It was Edinburgh City then. Yeah, for Dumbarton to beat them 4-0, we always know Dumbarton are a high-end, low league team, you know. But for them to beat them 4-0, I think that's a massive result for Dumbarton, and it's a terrible result for Annan. But after that final, I think that Annan are going to flop, because that was really their one chance to get the highest position they've ever been. Yeah, that's the highest they have ever been. Obviously, they get promoted. How long ago was it? About 10 years ago or something into the league?
2008 when Gretna went down, so 14 years.
So yeah, after getting so high, I think they are going to have a struggle this season. I don't see them getting relegated, but I think they'll be about mid-table.
That could be a very open league as well, but I'm really impressed with Stevie Farrell and Dumbarton so far as well. Bonnyrigg keeping their unbeaten run going, so it's going to be an interesting season for the teams in League 2. Right, let's quickly do the games over the midweek. We've got 2 games to touch on. Quick score predictions: Rangers versus PSV. Blair, will Rangers win at Ibrox in the first leg?
I'm going to go 2-1.
To Rangers?
2-1 to Rangers, aye. I think it'll be a very close game. Obviously, it's all on the line for both teams. It's all about money nowadays, isn't it? So, massive game for both teams. Celtic already in Champions League as well, so it's even bigger for Rangers after the upset of last season. I'm going to go 2-1. It'll leave it close for the second leg.
Lewis, will Rangers beat PSV?
No, I'm going 1-1 draw.
Okay.
PSV are no mugs, Scott. I think
Yeah, they are.
And there's a lot of chat about how kind of they made it hard work against Monaco in the previous round, but I just think they've got a couple of players in there that are top class. I think Joey Veerman has got the potential to be really.
It's a name that rings a bell.
Yes, yeah. I think is it 2 or 3 boys that Rangers have been previously linked with in this team?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's a few. As you mentioned, like Cody Gakpo. I think Cody Gakpo's been told. I think if you get us out in the Champions League, you'll get a move. I think Man United are looking at him. I think he wants to stay at PSV now after that, but
and Luke De Jong as well.
Luke De Jong, yeah, big name. Yeah.
No, I just think they've got some really good players. I'm really looking forward to the Van Bronckhorst Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah.
Two old international teammates going at it. It'll be an intriguing matchup. I don't know. I just have a feeling that PSV are going to get something out of this at Ibrox. Rangers fans will hate me saying it, given that Ibrox has been an absolute fortress. I think an interesting point that the first leg is at home. I think in all honesty, Rangers might have preferred the first game away.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think this is going to go right down to the wire. It's so tough to call. £40 million jackpot on the line. It's going to be.
I'm having a sore head thinking about making a prediction in this game. I think this is 2 really good sides. I think Rangers, as you say, that fortress at Ibrox. PSV are a top team. There's a lot of good players in their team, like we mentioned, Gakpo, Veerman, Teze at the back. I think it's terrific. I think he'll be the next kind of big player that leaves the Eredivisie to go to like an English club and things like that. And everybody that listens to the podcast knows I'm quite a fan of Dutch football, so I know this team well. I know what PSV do. I know that Van Nistelrooy is a terrific tactical manager. I think him and Van Bronckhorst I think they'll be coming looking for they'll know what they're coming into. They'll know that how big this venue's been in the past year. I'm going to give Rangers a 2-1 win, and I think it'll be so tight getting into the game at the Philips Stadion next Wednesday. So I think Rangers will win. I think Rangers will make home advantage count, but it'll be a different game going back to Holland next week. Blair, Hearts go to Swiss champions Zurich in the Europa League. They're guaranteed European football, but if they win this, they're in the Europa League. Can Hearts do
it? I'm going to go 2-1 Zurich, maybe 3-1 Zurich. I think it's going to be too tough an ask for them. Hearts are a very good side, but I think Zurich are just going to be too strong for them.
Lewis, will Hearts go to Switzerland and get a result and bring it back to have advantage at Tynecastle?
They will, Scott. They will. Yeah. I doubted Hearts early season. Zurich, I think 5 games into their league season, they've picked up 2 points.
Yes, that's correct. They've not had a good start to the season.
No, I don't know much about their squad.
And they went out really early in the Champions League.
Yeah. I know they've got decent quality players there. They kind of made light work of Linfield in the previous round, but yeah. I don't know. I just have a good feeling about Hearts. That's 3 games, 3 consecutive wins. They'll be full of confidence going out there. They've got Shankland banging the goals in. As you said, a lot of kind of creative players that have been chipping in as well. I fancy Hearts for a big result, and I hope that's not an omen for a capitulation second leg. But I think Hearts can go there and bring back a lead.
There's a player I want to give Hearts fans a warning about, who I think is a terrific player for Zurich, and his name is Ole Selensas. He's a defensive midfielder. He's 28 years old, and he's been around the block. He's signed from China. He's a terrific talent. He's really good. Keep an eye on him. I think if Hearts go there and get a result, it's a massive result. I know Zurich haven't started well, but again, going to Switzerland, they've won the Swiss League. They beat the likes of Young Boys in Basel, who are really good sides. They're no mugs. And going there, I think Zurich will be slight favourites in the home leg, but if Hearts can get something out of that game and take it back to Tynecastle, they can make home advantage count in the second leg. We are going to wrap up the show there. It has been an absolute pleasure to do the show with the boys. Lewis and Blair, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Here, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you very much to everyone that's tuned in. Please join us on the other shows coming up over the channel over the week. And we'll be back next weekend to talk about all the action in the Premiership. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Cheers.
Yeah.